Hello dear friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Lada and today we are continuing our journey into botanical drawing. Last time we studied and sketched a leaf. Now let's move on to exploring a flower. As you can see, this is a beautiful flower we'll be drawing today. I'll guide you step by step through the entire process of sketching Heliopsis with a graphite pencil. We'll also dive into learning more about this stunning plant. I want to show you everything in detail, so let's get started. As you already know, in my botanical illustrations, I don't just copy nature, I truly enjoy analyzing its forms in greater detail. With such an incredible variety of shapes, it's easy to get overwhelmed. That's why I want to show you what I focus on before starting the actual drawing. For now, let's step away from sketching the flower and dive a little deeper into theory and origins. So, today we are studying the Heliopsis flower. But what if I told you that it's not actually a single flower at all? You might ask, why? Then what is it? The answer is, this isn't just a flower, but a whole inflorescence. Inflorescence is a group of flowers arranged on a stem. First, let's take a closer look at the inflorescence. I'll grab my little magnifying glass and carefully examine all the details. Specifically, this inflorescence consists of two types of flowers: ligulate flowers on the edges and tubulate flowers in the center. And here is the truly fascinating part. These bright yellow petals are not petals at all, that are fully formed flowers. This is a characteristic feature of the Asteraceae family, including daisies, asters, sunflowers, and others. When I study a new plant, I find it essential to hold it in my hands, rotate it, and feel its texture. It's also incredibly helpful to observe different stages of the plant's development simultaneously. So, I'm opening my reference chart, and as you can see, the type of inflorescence known as a head is schematically illustrated here. As I mentioned earlier, this inflorescence is composed of two types of flowers. Along the edges are the ligulate flowers, which you can see represented schematically in my chart. The second type is the tubulate flowers, shown here in the chart as well. Now, let's take everything we've learned and try to organize it on paper. For my illustration, I'd like to depict the entire inflorescence in a close-up, top-down view. I'll also sketch the same inflorescence in profile. Additionally, I want to create detailed sketches of the individual flowers that make up this inflorescence, both the ligulate and tubulate flowers. Here's how I've outlined all the parts of my drawing. Now it's time to add details to everything we've sketched. I'm using a regular pencil of medium hardness to carefully outline the ligulate flowers and the center of the inflorescence. The key is not to press too hard, so that any mistakes can be easily erased with an eraser. Once everything is sketched, I use a kneaded eraser to gently remove excess graphite, leaving light lines. Then I use these faint lines to refine the contours with more precise strokes. This technique helps me draw confidently, as any mistakes can easily be erased without damaging the paper. After finishing the outline of the outer flowers, it's time to focus on the inner ones. I begin by sketching each tiny flower around the edge of the center. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. For the central flowers, since they're so small, I simply mark their arrangement direction like this. Then I gradually add the finer details. Now let's move on to sketching the flower in profile. There is no magic here. I am simply drawing from the flower lying in front of me. Again, I start by lightly sketching with faint lines, keeping everything loose and flexible. Once I've got the basic outline, I use a kneaded eraser to remove any unnecessary graphite, leaving only the finest traces behind. From there, I begin refining the drawing with more precise and clean lines, gradually building up the details. In this perspective, we can also see the stem and the flower's calyx. And that's why it's important to include multiple perspectives of the plant in illustration to accurately convey all the details. This way, we've sketched the inflorescence both in frontal view and in profile. Now, let's draw each type of flower separately. In botanical illustrations, small elements are often drawn at a larger scale for clarity, and that's exactly what I'll do. I'll enlarge the liquid flower and the tubular flower to make the illustration more informative. Let's give it a try. To make things easier, I used tweezers to carefully remove a single flower for closer examination, ensuring I don't miss any details. It turned out to be so tiny that I worry my camera might struggle to show it clearly, but I'll do my best. Now, let's also take a closer look at the ligulate flower. I find botanical drawing so fascinating because it feels like being a true explorer. We observe, compare, and analyze every detail, just like detectives. Let's start with the lava flower. First, I use an eraser to remove the initial sketch lines, leaving a clean surface to work on. I carefully mark the center of the flower and, using the original as my guide, begin drawing all the details. Here, I intentionally exaggerate certain small elements to make the flower structure clearer and easier for the viewer to understand. Step by step, I add details and refine the smaller features. Now, let's move on to the second flower. I begin by outlining its shape, noting how the flower is attached, its internal stamens, and the thickness of its structures. And there you have it! This is how I've mapped out all the key elements of our botanical illustration. I really hope you enjoyed exploring this beautiful plant with me. In the second part of the video, we'll move on to shading and adding volume to the drawing. So if you liked it, stay with me and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next videos. Bye!